I'm galled by it. And I'm like, how dare she move my stuff out of my house?
Hi and welcome back. This evening, we're diving into a stunning tale that even the experienced Sister Wives audience believed they'd never see. Kody and Robyn Brown, who sat atop their $1 million perch in Flagstaff, were brought to their knees. Not by the network, not by rumor, but by the two women he tried to erase from his existence, Janelle and Christine. What began as a court struggle has turned into an economic reckoning. And trust me, the walls of that mansion aren't closing in just yet. They're being sold. Let's go back. Only a few months before, Kody and Robyn were invincible. Even when the brutal courtroom loss, which forced them to pay Janelle and Christine $250,000 in damages, left them on their heels, they convinced themselves it was only a temporary setback, that somehow, through charm or trickery, they'd recover, and sources confirmed that what ensued was not recovery, it was implosion. According to a number of Flagstaff property records and individuals close to the Browns, the once proud couple is unloading it all: the luxury SUV, the designer accessories, even the tasteful family unity sign that still hangs on their mantle. All the symbols of their so-called perfect existence reduced to a mere price tag. And the mansion? That's the icing on this meltdown. For years, Robyn sported it as proof that she and Kody were chosen, that their marriage was blessed, safe, and in some way more legitimate than the others. She called it their forever home. And now, Forever Home Now, comes with a real estate listing number and a blazing orange for sale sign nailed into the front yard. Why? Because a court order doesn't negotiate. When Janelle and Christine's attorneys filed their motion to recover on their judgment, they didn't just freeze money. They pursued assets. That $1.2 million plus house was collateral on the biggest public humiliation of Kody Brown's life. The sale, though, isn't just about money. It's symbolic. For the first time in decades, Kody is no longer the man in control. He is the man who is getting evicted. Our sources make the portrait look like sheer madness within those mansion walls. Robyn crying, Kody blowing up, boxes piled like cordwood, movers politely bundling up the same furniture they once proudly displayed on the show. Each light, each picture frame, all accounted for on the books as inventory to be sold. And that's when it turns nasty. A court-appointed receiver manages their money now. That is, each dime of home sale, each check, each penny, goes through checks and approval before Kody or Robyn can even touch it. They can't sell even a chair without authorization. The man who once headed an empire of wives now can't even get a handle on his own wallet. While on the other side of state borders, Janelle and Christine are living in poetic justice. They're not guffawing, but they're breathing for the first time. Christine's husband, David, quoted a friend as saying, "She doesn't care about the money. She cares that the system finally saw him for what he is." Janelle felt the same way online, where she shared a lone quote fans quickly interpreted. Peace is what happens when the noise finally stops. The din, in this case Kody's relentless ego, but don't be confused, that peace was hard-won. Behind the melodramatic courtroom drama were years of manipulation, money exploitation, and warfare of the mind. The $250,000 verdict wasn't just about paying damages. It was a statement. You don't own us anymore. And if you thought Kody's temper on Sister Wives was awful, wait until you see what went down after the verdict. Accounts are that Kody erupted in one of his fabled tirades, calling the judge partial, the system crooked, and blaming his ex-wives for conspiring to destroy the family name. He purportedly threw a coffee mug at the kitchen counter and stormed out, insisting that no one would take his house. Someone did. The court. And soon enough, Janelle and Christine will receive their due, not for playing dirty, but for finally standing up for themselves. We'll explore how this ruling came to be, how Robyn's tears were her undoing, and why this financial collapse may mark the end of the Sister Wives show as we've come to know it. Because this is bigger than just a mansion being sold. It's a story about a patriarch losing his throne. Foreclosure notice by foreclosure notice. Welcome back. The story of Kody and Robyn's downfall is not a tale of a money judgment. It is a tale of two people who built their kingdom on illusion and watched it collapse due to reality. When the judge announced the $250,000 verdict, the courtroom was quiet. Kody was frozen, his eyes wide like he'd been knocked out. Robyn's tears flowed immediately, but not for remorse, only terror. Their lawyer muttered something, but that didn't matter. The gavel had already fallen. They lost, and for the first time in their lives, there was no production staff, no family huddle, no spin to hide behind. Within 48 hours, reality struck. Court officers froze the accounts they shared. Their credit cards ceased to function. Their TLC production bonuses were confiscated by attorneys for Janelle and Christine. Even their family checking account, for groceries and bills, was drained by court order. In the Flagstaff mansion, panic started at once. A source depicted Robyn as a wreck, racing up and down the marble floors, muttering that she was losing the house, the children, the life she had built. Kody lost his cool, though. He blamed everyone but himself. Christine, Janelle, the lawyers, even TLC. He called it a witch hunt, the source said. He shouted that Christine had taken advantage of the court with tears. But everyone knew. It was not the court who buried him. It was his ego. Let's be clear. This wasn't all about the $250,000. This was about decades of unchecked control. About the wives who gave their paychecks, their trust, and their futures to a man who saw himself as a king. The judgment was the first time the law told Kody Brown what his wives had been trying to tell him for years. You're not above accountability. The words of the judge herself since leaked through legal sources. This court doesn't exist to feed your ego, Mr. Brown, she asserted. It exists to dispense justice. You don't own these women, and you don't own their stories. It was reality TV history in the making. And whereas the internet celebrated, the repercussions behind closed doors were nuclear. Robyn scolded Kody for not being smart enough to protect them. Kody fired back, accusing her of pushing too hard on the lawsuit that initiated this. Financial panic escalated into emotional warfare. Neighbors reported yelling arguments, movers coming and leaving hours later because Robyn had not allowed anyone to touch her things. One night, a fan spotted Kody in the driveway, pacing barefoot along the driveway, on the phone and yelling, "They'll regret this. I made them." What Kody did not know was that Christine and Janelle had moved on long ago, strategically, not emotionally. Their attorneys had placed liens on the property, so when the mansion sold, the judgment would come out ahead of Kody or Robyn ever seeing a penny. They couldn't refinance. They couldn't sell it. The mansion was legally frozen. Robyn tried to appeal, sobbing that the house was for the children. The court rejected it in a week. The judge's reply was blunt. Your lifestyle is not a legal defense. That's when Kody totally lost it. According to our sources, he marched into the TLC offices in Flagstaff, demanding he renegotiate his deal, claiming that the network owed him for making the show a hit. He asked for an advance to pay the judgment. He didn't. TLC executives, already leery of the growing scandal, would not loan him a penny further. We can't protect you from this, one executive told him, according to reports. It's public record, public record. Those words broke him, because now, every critic, every ex-wife, every fan could look up just how much Kody and Robyn owed, and to whom. The newspapers laid it out. Their debt, their worth, their bank balances. The cover of wealth was blown, and that's when Robyn snapped. She allegedly packed a bag and told Kody she was taking the kids to her sister's for a few days. But those few days turned into weeks. Friends inform her that she felt unsafe, but not because of violence, rather because of what she called Kody's madness. His anger, his paranoia, his inability to understand this time. He couldn't make things okay by yelling louder. By the end of the month, Robyn returned, but something had changed. She no longer made excuses for him. She no longer bought into their invincibility myth, and for the first time she began to whisper of selling the house herself. She told a friend, "It's not worth it anymore. Let them have it. Let them take it all." Christine and Janelle watched in disappointment. They weren't celebrating. They didn't need to. Their silence was the loudest of all. They had won, not with revenge, but with truth. The same reality Kody spent decades working to suffocate under sermons, excuses, and manipulation finally broke through, and it was destroying his entire kingdom with it. But what does it look like when the king finally loses his crown? The sun rose over Flagstaff as it did every day, but to Robyn and Kody Brown, that sun cast a shadow. A for sale sign now sat, proudly in front of their $1 million dream home, the very same dream home that Robyn had said was her forever home. Except forever wasn't quite so forever after all. The streets were quiet, but the rumor mill was churning. Neighbors spied through the curtains, snapping photos as the local news van arrived. Hours later, social media headlines exploded. Kody and Robyn Brown. Selling mansion and file of $250K court. Verdict. The royal couple of sister wives mugs it. Out. Twitter was deluged with side-by-side photos of Robyn, sobbing during interviews and the real estate listing. One said, "So much for the Queen's castle." It was viral in minutes. Inside, there was pandemonium. Movers had arrived, but Kody refused to let them touch anything. "I'll do it myself," he reportedly shouted, red-faced, dragging boxes down the hallway while Robyn sobbed on the stairs. The man who once lectured his wives about accountability was now drowning in it. A close friend of the Browns told, Kody's anger was out of control. He just kept ranting about how the sale was illegal, about how Christine and Janelle had defrauded the judge. But the papers were tight. There was nothing he could do. Even the realtor was walking on eggshells. She told reporters she'd never worked with a couple so upset about their own listing. Kody wouldn't even let her take photos of some of the rooms, demanding she cut him from every picture. That didn't stop the paparazzi from descending, though. Drones flew overhead within days. Paparazzi camped outside in front across the street, and every time Kody stormed out into the backyard to berate them, it just made the story bigger. He was breaking down, in public. Robyn tried to keep up appearances, smiling half-heartedly for the cameras whenever she left the house, but her eyes told the story. The pressure was eating away at her. Her immaculate hairstyle was gone, her hair disheveled, her face pale, and Kody's rage now had a new target, TLC. In a heated phone call to a producer, he accused the network of exploiting his family and turning everyone against him. But the network would not be swayed. Behind the scenes, executives had already made their decision. Kody and Robyn were toxic. Their piece was being cut back. The upcoming season would focus on Janelle and Christine, the real story fans, wanted. That decision sent Kody into another tailspin. He allegedly broke a family photo album frame, one that included all 4 wives and the children together, screaming, "This was supposed to be my legacy." But that legacy was already lost. Because while Kody fumed, Christine and Janelle quietly worked behind the scenes. They were informed by their lawyers that the sale of the mansion was all but finalized. Once the papers were cleared, the $250,000 judgment would be settled. The same house Kody bought with their money was now paying for their restitution. It was poetic justice. Christine told a friend, "I don't feel joy. I feel peace. It's over." Janelle, always practical, said it best. "It's not revenge. It's repayment." As the closing date approached, Kody became desperate. He called Christine late one night, his first call to her in months. The call was a quick, tense one, according to our source. Kody told her, "You've ruined me," our source said. Christine just said, "No, Kody, you did that yourself," and she hung up. That ended communications between them. 2 days after that, the sale finalized. The home, once Kody's crowning glory and Robyn's sanctuary, was sold to an investor for $1.3 million below its worth, but enough to satisfy the court mandate and settle their debt. When the check was cleared, attorneys for Janelle and Christine were notified. The judgment was paid in full. Their freedom and justice were sealed. Kody and Robyn, meanwhile, had 30 days to vacate. A moving truck arrived on a cold Tuesday morning. Fans snapped Kody out in the driveway, arms crossed, frowning as workers loaded boxes labeled Kody's office, family photos, and kids' bedrooms. Robyn trailed behind, wiping tears, clutching one framed picture of her and Kody. By nightfall, the mansion stood empty, the lights extinguished. The doors shut. The castle disappeared. One neighbor who witnessed the whole drama explained it as follows. It was eerie, like watching a ghost up and leave another house she had lived in. The Browns drove away in silence. For the first time in 15 years, Kody was not a man with many wives or multiple homes. He was just a man, broke, defeated, and haunted by his own reflection. There is more, however. The move-out was supposed to be the finale, but for Robyn and Kody, it was just the beginning of the fall. 30 days after sale, they were living in a humble rented townhouse on the outskirts of Flagstaff. The vaulted ceilings, the gaudy staircase, and the bespoke kitchen Robyn so selfishly boasted about on television had all disappeared. The queen had lost her castle, and the king had lost his crown. Insiders described their new life as a ticking time bomb. With no show money to bring in, no real estate to access, and their public image in ruin, Kody's temper became unbearable. The man who lorded over a household of 4 wives was now sulking in a 2-bedroom rental apartment, living among piles of boxes he refused to open. And Robyn, for the first time, wasn't sticking up for him. She's heartbroken. One source familiar with the family explained. She thought she was marrying Kody to secure herself and gain prestige. Instead, it's brought her debt and public humiliation. She cries every day. Kody, meanwhile, was in denial. He was sure he could restore the family dynasty, that TLC would come back, that America still wanted to watch the real patriarch once again. So he started filming, himself. Our insiders confirm that Kody set up a small camera in the living room and began recording what he called the real story. It was a homemade vlog in which he ranted about betrayal, deceit, and how the women tainted the family name. He posted a few clips to a private YouTube account. But instead of sympathy, he got ridicule. Fans mocked his rants, calling them unhinged. One viral comment read, "He still doesn't get it. The wives didn't destroy him. His ego did." Within 48 hours, Kody deleted everything, but the damage was done. Behind the scenes, Robyn was unraveling. According to a family insider, she began talking to an attorney, not Kody's, but hers. She was scared of what was coming. The suit in the rearview mirror. Kody was now being investigated by the IRS for not reporting certain income from the family's LLC, the same LLC that financed the Flagstaff mansion, the same one that was listed under Robyn's aim. If the investigation moved forward, Robyn could be held jointly liable. She had been the co-signer. That's when she snapped. In what insiders are calling the night of truth, Robyn reportedly confronted Kody in their townhouse. She told him she was done being blamed, done being dragged down by his pride. "You promised us stability," she said. "All you've given me is chaos." Kody burst out, screaming she was becoming Christine, berating her as a betrayer. Robyn didn't scream back. She just said, "Maybe Christine was right." Those words hit hard. The battle raged on. Neighbors were hearing screaming late at night. Kody's truck disappeared the next day, and he didn't return for 3 days. During those times, Robyn did something that even surprised her friends. She got in touch with Janelle. It was not an olive branch. It was survival. A mutual friend arranged the two of them. And sources tell us that Robyn told Janelle she never wanted things to come this far. She blamed Kody for having manipulated her into doing the lawsuits, into isolating the other wives, into believing she was the only real wife. Janelle's response was chilly but calm. "You had choices, Robyn," she said to her. "You just liked the ones that benefited you." Robyn cried but didn't argue. For once, she was too exhausted to stage a performance, and Kody was drifting further into paranoid delusions. He blamed Robyn for speaking to Janelle and spoiling his last business partnership. He blamed her for betraying him, for feeding news to Christine. But the reality check is here. No one had to offer them a bite to eat. The world was already seeing Kody implode in real life. The social media world turned him into a meme. Old viewers covered comment sections calling him the most hated man on reality TV. Tweets called him a symbol of control gone wrong. And yet, instead of giving up, Kody tried one last desperate maneuver. He contacted a source, offering an exclusive interview to present his side. But the source reportedly declined unless he would agree to include Janelle and Christine. Kody declined. That rejection crushed him. He had once been the celebrity of the show, the gentleman every tabloid featured. Now he couldn't even sell his story. By early autumn, his marriage to Robyn was quietly failing. They still lived under the same roof, but barely spoke to one another. Their children were terrified and confused, observing their parents disappearing into their own universes. And then, in a sour twist, the individuals Kody had long taken for granted, his adult children, were the ones assailing him openly. Gabe, Garrison, and Mykelti all made anonymous but passionate statements online. Garrison wrote, "Accountability isn't betrayal. It's called consequences." By winter, Kody Brown's reign was over. No show, no mansion, no followers who still believed his illusion of control. Only debt, shame, and the slow, public downfall of a man who thought he was above it all. The first punch came quietly. A letter from the IRS red flagged. It wasn't for taxes owed. It was for misrepresentation. The investigation into the Brown Family Entertainment LLC had confirmed suspicions. Family funds were used to pay for personal extravagances, cars, jewelry, the down payment on the mansion, and whose name was signed on every transfer? Kody's. He'd acted like it was his personal piggy bank, and now the government was questioning it. When the authorities called, Kody tried to charm them. He said it was all for the good of the family. He called it a misunderstanding. They weren't deceived. In November, the IRS froze what little remained in his accounts. The man who once boasted of being a breadwinner couldn't even cover a month's rent. Meanwhile, Robyn was done playing along. The cracks that started after the judgment had now become full-fledged fractures. She stopped going out with him in public. Her wedding ring disappeared, and according to multiple sources, she told her friends that she was emotionally divorced. Her defense of him is over, adds one insider. She knows now that she hitched herself to a sinking ship. She wasn't wrong. Kody was a recluse. He spent his days walking around their rented home, raving about betrayal and injustice. He did not talk to anyone, not even his own children. When Christmas arrangements came up during a conversation between Gabe and Garrison, Kody told them, "You can thank your mothers for ruining this family." They hung up. It was the period his kids stopped calling. By December, the TLC network quietly removed him from promotional documents. Christine and Janelle had already signed their new spin-off deal, a show about rebuilding, strength, and the new sisterhood they were creating outside of Kody's shadow. It was everything Kody had lost: relevance, respect, and redemption, and then the final humiliation. A Flagstaff Times journalist splashed a story using leaked court documents to confirm that Kody and Robyn's LLC was being wound down. Not by choice, but by court order. All that remained, residual payments from previous TLC deals included, would be stripped away and used to pay outstanding bills. The title on the piece spoke volumes. The Kingdom Falls, Kody Brown's last empire shut down by court. The news was ringing through celebrity news in hours. All the stations, all the pundits, all the former fans deconstructed his tumble from grace in gruesome detail. And as Kody shrank into the shadows, muttering, Christine and Janelle live-streamed together for the first time in years. It wasn't about revenge. It was about freedom. Christine smiled up at the camera, her voice flat but firm. "We spent years being told we were less than, that our stories were someone else's. Now we own them finally." Janelle nodded. "We worked for this piece, and we will fight for it." That one video racked up millions of views. It wasn't just a statement. It was an act of closure. Two women who had spent a lifetime being manipulated, now standing as the authors of their own lives. In the meantime, Kody was nowhere to be found. Neighbors said they saw him leave town in his old beat-up pickup truck, the same one he used to brag about being a symbol of freedom. This time, there was nowhere to go. One source said he called a friend before he left and said, "They took everything, but they'll miss me one day." Nobody believed him, because nobody was left to miss him. The patriarch was the ghost of his own empire, Christine and Janelle. Though, were thriving. Christine's cooking show had just been renewed for another season. Janelle was on the road, visiting her children, finally living the simple life she'd always dreamed of. They didn't gloat. They didn't need to. Their peace was the proof of victory, and in the greatest poetry of all, the house that they once subsidized, the mansion which symbolized Kody's greed, was now a home to a young family. A family with no idea of its lurid past. The echoes of new children's laughter in its halls, sincere laughter, honest laughter, the type which never needs a camera crew. And as for Robyn, she's living in the shadows. She's shunned the spotlight, happy to raise her children and rebuild her life free of a man's dominance. Whether she'll ever be back on TV is anyone's guess. But one thing is certain, she's no longer going to bat for Kody. And Kody Brown, who once marketed himself as the mastermind of the Brown family dynasty, now serves as a cautionary tale. A man who mixed up control with love, ego with leadership, and ownership with family. He tried to build a kingdom around manipulation, but Christine and Janelle built something better, truth. And in the end, that's what was left.